A nice simple acrylic portrait, isn't it? Unlike oil paints, acrylic is one medium which is very much artist dependent. Anything done on oils or charcoal may have a certain elegance, but that's not the case with acrylics or watercolor. While watercolor is too expressionistic and over dependent on regular practice and devotion to the craft, acrylics are much more forgiving, but still you may need some acquaintance with the materials, a certain level of practice, and some general tips to make your life easy as an acrylic artist. While the first 2 points are universal and self explanatory, tips and tricks vary from artist to artist. Some they learn from other artists, some they develop by themselves. For example, this spray bottle, which contains nothing but pure plain water, which, trust me, is a game changer. In this video, I am explaining in detail my tips and tricks for painting this simple acrylic portrait done in realistic style. Hello guys, welcome back. Thanks for joining me today. It's been a while since I posted any long form video in this channel. Honestly, I was quite busy with a lot of things going on in my life lately. But I sure post short videos frequently, and one of my new subscribers asked for a simple acrylic portrait that she could practice upon. Also, most of my new subscribers from the short videos are beginners in art who subscribed for the amazing portrait videos in the channel. As a self-taught artist, I can relate to all of you. Since we are living in a day and age where the only study material in art that you need for your art education may be the internet, there is a lot out there for beginners. You just need to be open towards new knowledge, keep your enthusiasm alive, and practice without fail. So with that being said, let's just get into the video. As I said earlier, this video is about tips and tricks in acrylic portrait painting. As an aspiring artist, if you try to search for the tips and tricks, what you are going to get is a generic guide of the curriculum in art training, that is to practice brush strokes, to use quality products, to try underpainting, etc. Those points may be called the theory part of it. But practically speaking, for a beginner, he first needs to be introduced to the paint and the painting techniques, and may require some prolonged guidance if the learning curve is too steep. Now, don't get me wrong here. The above mentioned points are also important. You need both theory and practicals. Today, in this video, I am dealing with certain practical points only, and my first point for you beginners is to apply gesso. Always apply gesso over the surface on which you are painting with acrylics. Gesso makes the painting surface better and adds to the better flow of your paint. Anybody who is a little bit experienced with acrylic paint may be knowing the difference of using and not using gesso. But this point is for the beginners. Gesso provides a non-porous, non-flaking, stretchable ground for the paints and also corrects any surface irregularities. Now you can buy a white gesso from your local art store. It's fairly cheap and universally available, or make one of your own. As for me, I use pre-primed ready-to-use canvases, but still I apply 1 or 2 coats of gesso over it before I start painting. There are some artists who apply even up to 8 coats of gesso, one over the other, standing in between to get a real smooth texture of the paintings. Smoothness of the surface is really an artist's choice, but for a beginner you may be okay to proceed with 1 or 2 coats over a pre-primed canvas. But if you are someone who makes your own canvases, maybe you need more than 2 coats. But then beginners usually go for ready-to-use canvases than to make their own from linen or board. Now, if you are enjoying this video or find it helpful, I would appreciate it if you hit that like button. Thank you. Second point is to tame the acrylics. Now, if you are a beginner, the most frustrating thing that you are going to face while starting to paint with acrylics is the fast drying nature of the acrylic paint. Paint dries faster if you apply it thin. Thinner the coat, faster it dries. Even thick paint gets dried on your palette within hours. If the environment is unfavorable, your paint may get dried up even while you are still mixing them. Now, what can I say? Acrylics are like that. And the only ways to save yourselves from this particular problem are One, to tame the acrylics according to your needs, and two, to tame yourself according to the need of acrylics. First, let us come to taming the acrylic. Dry environment causes paint to dry faster. If you switch on the AC in your room to enjoy your painting session on a summer afternoon, you will notice the paint getting dried up within a matter of minutes. The same paint may remain wet for at least 8 hours on a rainy, tropical, humid evening. That means switching off the AC really helps. Second practical tip would be to use a wet palette. Place something like a wet paper or wet tissue under your paint on the part of the palette where the paint is squeezed out. This helps retain the humidity of the paint and hence keeps it from drying. Another magical tip which all acrylic artists should use is a spraying bottle. As I said earlier in this video, a spraying bottle which sprays a fine mist of pure plain water can surprisingly be a lifesaver for the acrylic artist. You can spray this fine mist of water over the squeezed out paint, pre-mixed paints, or onto the canvas based on your requirements. The final step in taming the drying time would be to use a retarder medium. There are both fluid and gel mediums, and they are similar to the mediums that we use in oil paints like liquid or linseed oil. Retarder mediums prolong the drying time, but not for long. Now coming to the second part of it, that is taming yourselves for acrylics. This I think is the most overlooked part of it all. I can explain it with an example. If you are from a watercolor background, you know the amount of dedication and practice you need to master the watercolor techniques. This is because you have to learn the peculiarities in the behavior of water to master watercolor. Based on that peculiarities, your approach changes. You move faster if you are doing wet on wet. That is, you are taming yourselves for watercolor. You can apply the same principle here also. As a part of taming themselves, some artists paint faster. Some never premix their paint, or some use paint direct from tube, and some change to more abstract style than realistic. But this part of the taming is very liberal, and you can actually paint in any style using acrylics. And this versatility is one of the major factors why it is now one of the most popular mediums in painting. Third tip is to learn to do it both ways. Many artists who come to acrylics are mainly from watercolor or oil painting backgrounds. Those two were the most popular mediums before acrylics. People who have tried both these mediums know that they are the polar opposites. While watercolor relies heavily on experience, done from light to dark and done in a short amount of time, oil paints are done from dark to light and over a longer period of time. Oil paints take weeks to dry, and correction and changes may be done easily. Almost anything painted in oil may have an elegance of its own, while watercolors are hard to correct and is way too expressive and a true test to the skill of the artist. Acrylic paints are a nice blend of both watercolors and oils. The texture of paint behaves like oils if you use only paint and no water. But if you use more water or fluid retarders, paint becomes loose and start behaving like watercolors, but dries up much faster than watercolor. Use of too much of water in acrylic paints is not recommended, as it can make your paint flaky and look chalky. In order to extract the full potential of acrylic paints, the artist must learn to do it both ways. That is, like watercolor with more water from light to dark, and like oil color, where the emphasis is on brush strokes and color theory. As for me, I am from a watercolor background and I usually tend to go from light to dark, but I can paint in reverse also with thick brush strokes mimicking oil paints. This is my fourth and final tip for the day, that is to use two separate bowls for painting. One to wash your brush of excess paint, two for diluting your color. As washing the brush is very easy in acrylics just like in watercolor, artists tend to do it more often than oil painters, making the water in the bowl dirty. Even though not much of water is used to dilute the paint, it's always better you use a clean bowl of water for that, to keep the purity of the color. This is particularly important in realism as muddy water can really play with your color theory. As I said in the beginning of this video, these were some of the very basic practical tips that I use while painting with acrylics that makes my life easier. Hope you all learned something from my tips and start discovering more and more tips to share with the art community as you start your practice sessions with acrylics. If you have reached up to this watching the video, thank you so much for spending your time with me. If you have any doubts or want me to elaborate upon any of the points I discussed here, you can ask them in the comment section below. If you are interested in buying this portrait or any of my previous artworks, please visit jinjuart.com. You can find originals and prints of a variety of paintings there. You can also follow me at jinjuart in Facebook and Instagram. With that being said, this is the finished look of the painting. If you enjoyed watching this, here is a video that I think you should watch next. That's all from the video, guys. See you all in the next. Till then, take care and bye bye.